Are you tired of chasing fleeting success that leaves you empty? What if I told you there's a proven way to build lasting impact? One that transforms not just your results, but who you become. Today, I'll reveal 6 powerful frameworks that can instantly elevate your life, leadership, and legacy. If you're done with surface-level wins and ready for real transformation, stay tuned. This could be the game changer you've been waiting for. The first key is to understanding true success. Real success is often misunderstood. It is celebrated in fleeting moments, measured by wealth, ranked in titles, showcased on highlight reels, and sold through simplified slogans. However, genuine success, the kind that endures, is not a product of luck, charm, or shortcuts. It isn't achieved overnight and isn't solely defined by external outcomes. Authentic success is cultivated from within, quietly, intentionally, and usually at a slower, more deliberate pace. It is more complex and layered than many realize. Most individuals pursue success by copying the behaviors of those they admire, mimicking routines, tone, or trends. But they often overlook the foundational principles that truly create lasting achievement. What appears on the surface is merely the result of deeper concepts. Principles that influence how people think, make decisions, and show up in life. These core ideas guide them when no one is watching, shape their behavior under pressure, and define their character long after applause has faded. Without internalizing and making these principles your own, you may build something that looks successful, but lacks durability. You might garner recognition, yet feel unfulfilled. You might achieve victory, but it will seem hollow. Because real success isn't just about winning. It's about staying aligned while you win. It's about being proud of who you are becoming throughout the process. Walking with character, strength, and a steadfast standard, even when circumstances break down. While the world emphasizes results, the challenge is that an obsession with outcomes can cause you to overlook the underlying structure, the invisible framework that determines how high you can build, how effectively you can lead, and how far you can go without faltering. Many aim to build big, but neglect to build deep. Without depth, the weight of success can become overwhelming and cause collapse. Therefore, success requires more than tactics, productivity systems, or new routines. It demands guiding principles, core truths that anchor you, making you resilient, wise, and capable of handling the responsibilities that come with achievement. Success is a heavy load, and if you're unprepared to carry it, it can crush you. This is not about hype or noise. It's about clarity, maturity, and aligning your ambitions with something truly lasting. Building the wrong version of success leads to burnout and regret. Chasing appearances instead of genuine truth makes the journey much harder to reverse. This is your moment for recalibration, a reset. Not a strict script, but a lens through which to see clearly. 6 core concepts serve as internal codes, not rules, that guide how you work, show up, treat others, and lead. You won't master all at once. Instead, you'll develop them gradually, layer by layer, season by season. These are tools for growth, reflection, and alignment. Wisdom that reveals itself over time. As you begin to see through these principles, everything shifts. You stop imitating others, comparing yourself to their timelines, and seeking constant validation or approval. Instead, you anchor yourself to something real, something unshakable, something that remains long after the initial emotion fades. The first fundamental truth for true success is to stop outsourcing your self-worth. As long as your value depends on external validation, your sense of identity remains unstable. An unstable identity leads to reactive behaviors. You'll chase after unnecessary things, tolerate what you shouldn't, and make decisions driven by fear instead of wisdom. Living in a constant performance mode, trying to earn love, respect, and belonging. Prevents genuine growth. True success begins from a different foundation. Recognizing that worth shouldn't be rented out to others' opinions. Many have never been taught how to separate their intrinsic value from external validation. They confuse applause with alignment, being noticed with being needed. Early on, they learn that performing well or saying the right things brings affirmation and acceptance. Over time, they attach their identity to outcomes, believing, "If I win, I am worthy. If I lose, I am not. If they approve, I am enough. If not, I need to change." This cycle becomes a trap, a relentless pursuit of proof that they belong. Success does not free you from this trap. It often makes it more costly. The louder the applause, the higher the expectations. And that can shift your focus from leading with strength to merely surviving the pressure of being liked. True, rooted success, however, begins from a different place. One grounded in internal principles that foster genuine self-worth, resilience, and integrity. True success begins with knowing your value before the scoreboard shows it, before a paycheck confirms it, and before applause from a room. It starts by making peace with the truth that you don't need to earn your right to grow, to lead, or to build. You don't require permission to believe in your purpose. You don't need a green light from others to continue walking your path. This mindset is rare because it operates quietly. It doesn't perform. It doesn't seek to prove itself. And it doesn't broadcast every achievement just to feel worthy. It moves in peace, builds with clarity, leads with humility. Its foundation isn't built on external feedback, but on inner truth. You are not defined by your metrics, mistakes, likes, views, income, resume, or reputation. These may reflect what you built, but they do not determine who you are. Failing to grasp this early can lead you to spend your life reacting to praise, criticism, trends, or external validation. Constantly chasing some new, elusive version of success that's just out of reach. Instead, learning to operate from a place of rooted identity, not ego or arrogance, gives you internal security that says, "I know what I bring to the table, and I don't need to prove it every moment." This posture keeps you stable, consistent, and more powerful than someone constantly scrambling for the next win. It frees you to grow, because you can accept feedback without losing your sense of self, fail without falling apart, and adjust your course without believing your worth is at stake. When you lead from alignment instead of performance, your energy deepens, your clarity sharpens, your trust expands. People feel that authenticity. You attract followers not because you're the loudest, but because you're grounded. Not because you always win, but because you don't fall apart when you lose. Not because you're perfect, but because you're anchored. You have nothing to prove, only something to give. Striving from this place doesn't mean stopping growth. It means pursuing excellence that honors your true self. You continue to work, improve, and raise the bar, but from a foundation of authenticity, not validation. This internal rootedness creates space for genuine success. Success that not only impresses, but transforms lives. The second key to true success is mastering the art of internal alignment. If what you say, what you believe, what you do, and what you feel are all pulling in different directions, your life will feel chaotic, even if, outwardly, everything appears organized or successful. Success without internal coherence leads to a quiet tension, a discomfort that no achievement can truly resolve. Alignment isn't about perfection or getting everything right all the time. It's about harmony and consistency, moving steadily in a direction that reflects your core values. When your work aligns with your identity, your goals mirror your true purpose, and your ambition is rooted in your authentic self, everything begins to feel more natural and sustainable. Most people lack this alignment, They carry ambitions that are borrowed, adopted, or inherited from others. Aspirations that are mimicked, not genuine. They pursue milestones, degrees, titles, metrics that look impressive on paper, but lack personal fulfillment. They lead teams with authority, but without peace, and over time, that drains them, because they're not truly living. They're performing. They conform to standards that aren't theirs. And this dissonance, this gap between who they are and what they do, breeds burnout. Not just from working hard, but from working in a way that's out of sync with their true selves. The exhaustion comes from ignoring intuitive signals, silencing inner guidance, and moving forward without ever questioning, does this path align with my purpose? When you choose alignment, everything shifts. You slow down enough to ask better questions. Not just, what's next? But, what's true? Not, what looks good? But, what feels right? Not, what will make others notice? But, what will make me proud when no one is watching? These questions redefine your journey, turning your map into one rooted in authenticity and purpose. You start saying no to things that used to tempt you. You stop chasing approval from people who don't even live by the values you hold. You stop doing work just because you can, and start doing work that calls something out of you. Something deeper, something more honest. This doesn't always mean radical change. You don't need to burn your life down to find alignment. Sometimes, it just means adjusting, refocusing, asking, what's behind my drive? It means reconnecting your energy to your identity, realigning your ambition with your principles, listening to the quiet knowing you've been too busy to hear. And when you do that, you start to feel lighter, not because life gets easier, but because your choices become cleaner. There's less friction, less inner conflict, less pretending. You don't need to hype yourself up every day, because your direction actually matches your conviction. You don't feel like you're fighting yourself just to make progress. Alignment gives you clarity, and clarity is power. It lets you move faster, with less anxiety. It lets you say no with less guilt. It lets you lead with fewer words, because your presence already carries integrity. And when your life is aligned, when your head, heart, habits, and actions are pulling in the same direction, people trust you, because you're not scattered. You're not selling something you don't believe in. You're living it. That's what creates influence. Not volume, not charisma, but alignment. The sense that who you are matches what you do, that your words reflect your beliefs, that your pace reflects your priorities, that your decisions reflect your truth. And when people feel that, they're drawn to you, not just for what you produce, but for who you are. The third fundamental concept for achieving true success is to build consistency that outlasts motivation, because motivation is a mood, and moods are unstable. They rise and fall with sleep, with weather, with comments from strangers, one email, one mistake. But consistency, real consistency, that's a decision, a discipline, a pattern that holds. Even when your emotions don't. People wait for motivation to begin. They wait to feel ready, to feel energized, to feel inspired. And some days, they do. They wake up on fire. They act fast. They feel proud. But then, it fades. Life happens. Momentum breaks. They fall off. And because they relied on motivation to start, they now need motivation to restart. And that's where most people lose. Not in their ability to perform, but in their inability to return. True success isn't built on intensity. It's built on rhythm, on repetition, on the willingness to do the work, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's boring, even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. Because those are the moments that train your nervous system to show up on command, not just on inspiration. You have to decide who you want to become, then align your actions with that decision long enough that it becomes identity, not habit. Identity, not something you try to do, something you simply are. And that kind of consistency? It doesn't come from hype. It comes from clarity, from environment, from systems, from the small decisions. You stop negotiating. You build that consistency. The same way you train a muscle. Slowly. Repeatedly. You don't miss twice in a row. You don't let one bad day define the week. You don't spiral every time you feel off. You hold the standard. Not because you're trying to be perfect, but because you're committed. And commitment always outperforms inspiration. This kind of consistency makes your mindset resilient. You stop wasting energy deciding whether or not to do the thing. You've already decided. You don't have to wake up and debate it. You don't have to rely on willpower. You just follow through. Quietly. Relentlessly. And that follow through? That's what builds trust. You start trusting yourself. Other people start trusting you. Not because you're dramatic, but because you're dependable. Because you show up. Because your results are a byproduct of your integrity. And that integrity? It isn't something you shout about. It's something you live. Consistency clarifies your capacity. You stop chasing goals that don't match your lifestyle. You build a structure that supports your energy. You stop working in sprints that burn you out and start building systems that sustain you. You learn how to win the day, not the year. 1 rep, 1 hour, 1 block at a time. And when you mess up, which you will, you don't dramatize it. You don't quit. You reset. You recommit. And you repair the rhythm, instead of walking away from the instrument. That recovery is what sets apart those who grow from those who start over repeatedly. True success isn't rooted in fleeting motivation. It's built on rhythm, on quiet, consistent work that compounds, on small commitments that create big lives. When your foundation is built on consistency, not hype, no external force can take that away from you. Because you weren't built by mood swings. You were built by muscle memory. And that memory fosters resilience, reliability, readiness for the weight of success. The fourth fundamental is to respect your seasons. Life doesn't follow a straight line. It's not always progress in perfect forward motion. Sometimes you're building, sometimes planting, sometimes pruning, sometimes recovering. If you treat every season as if it should look the same, you'll misinterpret your growth. You might think you're behind when you're actually preparing, or feel stuck when you're being shaped. Most people don't give themselves permission to have seasons. They expect their energy, creativity, output, clarity, and momentum to be on full display year-round. And when a dip occurs, they panic. They push harder. They criticize themselves or question everything. But rest doesn't mean regression. It's part of the process. The people who build sustainable success learn to recognize their season and work with it, not against it. They don't panic during quiet times. They don't rush during moments of growth. They understand. Seeds need time to sprout. Roots need time to grow deep. And each season serves a purpose. You're not always going to feel fired up. You're not always launching something new. And that's okay. Every season still offers value. If you pay attention, clarity and silence, restoration and rest, wisdom and waiting. Stop measuring yourself by other seasons. Don't compare your winter to someone else's spring. Rushing through growth or skipping sacred stages only weakens your foundation. Instead, ask yourself, am I aligned? Not, why is this taking so long? But, what is this teaching me? Recognize whether you're in a building phase, a letting go phase, a breakthrough, or a period of quiet reflection. Each has its purpose. Your role is to honor each season. Stay rooted in it, and allow it to do its work in you. This means showing up without expecting the same output every time. It means releasing self-punishment for slower progress or different pacing, leading yourself with wisdom, with maturity, with rhythm, and with patience. Grants you strength, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. You learn to be present with yourself at every stage, to keep going without forcing, to remain still without losing purpose. Progress isn't always loud, but it's always moving if you stay aligned. The fifth fundamental is to build emotional endurance. Most people aren't derailed by strategy. They're broken by pressure. Success isn't just about opportunity or having the right tools. It's about your capacity to stay grounded amid chaos. If you crumble every time life pushes back, if setbacks shake your confidence, success will always remain just out of reach. Because endurance isn't forged in ease. It's developed in tension, in the space between what you want and what life delivers, between expectations and reality. People want growth without resistance, progress without setbacks, momentum without challenges. But that's an illusion. To grow, you must be stretched. To lead, you will be misunderstood. Success requires you to carry weight, to endure discomfort, to stay committed despite the noise, despite the resistance. Building emotional endurance means cultivating the strength to stay steady when life tests you, to keep faith when results don't show up, to stay clear even when everything around you feels uncertain. But this endurance isn't about suppressing emotions. It's not about forcing yourself to be strong. It's about developing the capacity to remain centered, adaptable, and committed through all seasons of life. When you build that inner strength, external challenges become fuel. Setbacks become setups for comebacks. Success stops being about avoiding struggle and starts being about learning how to carry it. If you're pursuing a real purpose, you will face fatigue. You will feel doubt, experience delay, and meet disappointment. There's no shortcut through it. The only way is through. Emotional endurance is what allows you to keep walking, even when you feel like stopping, without shutting down, without lashing out, without letting your lowest moments define you. It doesn't mean ignoring how you feel. It means not being controlled by those feelings. It means leading yourself in the very moments when your emotions want to lead you. Staying present, even in discomfort, even in uncertainty, even in the messy middle ground. You train this by practicing presence under pressure. Don't run from discomfort. Don't numb it. Stay with it. Breathe through it. Let it teach you. Real strength is realizing you can be tired and still move, afraid and still decide, uncertain and still walk with clarity. Every time you hold your center, instead of spiraling, you build internal strength, resilient, reliable, unshakable. This kind of strength isn't flashy. It's not about hype, not about external validation. It's about the quiet confidence that says, I've been through worse, and I'm still here. Even if it shakes me, it won't break me. And this endurance, it shows up in small, invisible moments. When you choose patience over snapping, silence over defensiveness, consistency over quitting. It's not always visible, but it's always valuable. It's what makes you trustworthy. Not because you're always in a good mood, but because you keep showing up with integrity. You don't let pressure steal your presence. You don't let fear dictate your choices. You move from principle, not panic. When you build emotional endurance, you stop fearing what's next, because you trust whatever comes next won't destroy you. It will shape you. And that shaping, it prepares you for greater responsibility, greater impact, and a deeper sense of purpose. The sixth fundamental is to anchor your life in service. As you build success, it's tempting to turn inward. Your goals, your dreams, your fulfillment. But the most fulfilled, the most enduring leaders are those who build for others, those who lead from a place of service. Service isn't convenient. It often costs your comfort, your pride, and your recognition. It means giving without expecting anything in return. It means choosing humility instead of chasing visibility. But when you serve from authenticity, you gain something deeper, meaning you stop needing to be the hero. You stop needing to be the loudest voice or the most important person in the room. Instead, you start asking, how can I lift others? Because when your energy moves outward, your impact multiplies. Your definition of success shifts from what you achieve alone to what you give and how you influence the lives around you. It's not about your name on a billboard. It's about the legacy you leave. Stories. Stories of how you showed up, of how you gave more than was asked, of how your presence changed someone's trajectory. Living in service doesn't mean sacrificing your vision. It means walking into every room asking, what can I contribute here? It means carrying your strength in a way that elevates others. It means building systems that serve and approaching each interaction with humility and generosity. This isn't just about morality. It's about longevity. Because when your motivation is driven by impact, not ego, you last longer. You endure. You grow with purpose. And when you prioritize service, you stop chasing connections. You start creating relationships rooted in trust, respect, and real connection. These aren't transactional exchanges. They're meaningful bonds. Your legacy won't be counted in applause, but in stories. Stories of how you gave beyond comfort, how you made a difference, not just for yourself, but for those around you. When your foundation is rooted in service, you stop asking what you can get from success and start asking, how can I use this to lift others? That's how you leave a legacy that extends far beyond your time. Because these 6 concepts, they're not just theories to admire. They are frameworks to apply, invitations to build something deeper, something resilient, something that won't collapse when life gets hard or when the numbers fall short. You've seen what happens when ambition gets disconnected from identity, when success is based on surface-level wins, and progress is mistaken for purpose. You've seen the burnout, the confusion, the loss of peace, even when it looks like high performance on the outside. Now, you're standing at a crossroads. You can keep chasing what's common, or you can commit to building what's real. True success begins when you stop outsourcing your self-worth, when you realize your value isn't on trial in any season, in any circumstance. It deepens when your actions align with your truth, when your decisions reflect who you are, not who you're trying to impress. It sustains when your consistency is powered by substance, not hype. You begin to lead yourself, even when motivation fades. You stop rushing your seasons and start learning from each one. You walk through transitions with patience. You grow. You evolve. You build emotional endurance. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. You stop fearing pressure and start seeing it as proof of growth, not proof that something is wrong. And most importantly, you return to service. You stop building just for yourself. You start creating value for others. You lead in ways that leave people better than you found them. You live in ways that multiply not just your possessions, but your impact. These 6 principles may not always sound glamorous. They may be hard to explain in a tweet, but they are your compass. They are your anchor. When the world gets noisy, when the path gets unclear, they'll protect you from sacrificing peace for performance, purpose for popularity, soul for status. Because in a world that screams, more, faster, these principles whisper, steady, deeper. True success isn't about checking goals. It's about becoming. It's about living with depth, leading with integrity, and leaving a legacy. You're not just building a life. You're becoming a life. You're not just setting goals. You're setting a tone. You're not collecting milestones. You're creating meaning. So remember this. True success isn't measured by milestones alone. It's measured by who you become in the process. These 6 fundamentals, they are your blueprint for resilience, authenticity, and lasting impact. Embrace the journey of growth. Lead with integrity. Serve with purpose. The world needs your unique contribution. So start building a life rooted in depth and meaning today. Don't settle for fleeting fame. Don't chase temporary wins. Aim for a legacy that endures. Your transformation begins now. Step into your power. Stay consistent. And keep building what truly matters. Because when you lead with purpose, success becomes inevitable. Keep moving forward. And I'll see you at the top.